Hey everyone, it's Chelsea from the Allen County Public Library, and in this video I'm going to talk to you about what you can do in honor of Earth Month, and one of those things is to reduce your food waste. So when it comes to reducing my food waste, the number one thing I can do is to not buy as many groceries as I do and only buy what I need. So the number one thing you can do to reduce your food waste is to plan your meals out as best you can so that you don't have excess food. But if you're like me and you think that you're gonna eat healthier and you're gonna eat salads every day and then you take it home and it just sits in the refrigerator, sometimes that food goes to waste. And the way you handle that is to compost. So I'm gonna be showing you how to make a little compost pile, what to put in it, what not to put in it, and what it looks like in the end. Alright, so this is what my compost pile looks like right now. I just added some fresh compost materials, as you can kind of see. So I have some shredded paper that I picked up from the office so that that is not going to waste. I'm putting it in my compost pile. And then I put some fresh veggie scraps from my kitchen that I'll keep in a little coffee container, and whenever that gets full or towards the end of the week, I'll bring it out here and I will mix it in with my little compost pile so you can kind of see what I have here. There's an old green onion, there's some potato peels in there, there's some old lettuce, I think there's some eggshells around in here somewhere. Up there's one. But however, whatever you put into your compost, I'll kind of give you a do's and don'ts of what to put in here. But regardless of what you put in here, you kind of want to follow a ratio, and I've kind of seen varying ratios, but it's important that you have more browns, which would be your carbon products like paper, leaves, things like that would be your carbon based products, and then you have your green products, which are nitrogen based, and that's going to be your vegetable scraps and things like that. So you want to be sure that you have more of the brown than you do the green. And I just usually mix this up, and I'll usually put a little bit of the old compost on top. I'll use a little spade here, or I have a garden hoe I sometimes use to mix it up. So that way I get some of the old compost mixed in with the new compost so that it breaks down more quickly. But it's very easy. I don't have a fancy setup. I just have a spot in my backyard, and I let my scraps decompose the natural way instead of putting it in a landfill and taking up space out there where they can't decompose properly. So this is what your compost pile could look like. So here we have a quick do's and don'ts of composting. This isn't an exhaustive list, but it has a few of the things that you should and shouldn't include in your compost bin. And I've broke down the do's into the browns and greens of your compost pile. So your browns will typically be dry leaves, newspapers, sawdust, twigs, pine cones, that kind of thing. And then your greens will be your vegetable and fruit scraps, grass clippings, coffee grounds, eggshells, etc. But then in our don't pile, you don't want to use any animal products. So if you have some leftover meal that has meat in it, you don't need to put that in your compost pile because that can attract animals and it slows down the decomposing process. And the same goes with fatty oils. You don't want to put that in there because it again will slow down your decomposition and will attract animals. Another thing to keep out of your compost pile is diseased plants, because those can cause problems and spread disease within your compost. So don't put those in there, and also keep your pet litter and pet waste out of your compost pile. It is not good for your compost. And I've also included down here the ratio, which is supposed to be 30 parts carbon to 1 part nitrogen. And that is the optimal ratio, but if your ratio isn't perfect, it's not going to be a huge deal. It's just the optimal level, and that'll keep your decomposition at its best rate. All right, so here is some of my soil that I've kind of scratched around and dug up to show you what has come from my compost pile. Where I live, I don't have a lot of topsoil, so I have a lot of rocky clay soil, and the fact that I have this dirt right here is pretty impressive to me because it was just rocks maybe a year ago was all I had right here. But this is good for your plants and whatever you blend in this compost into, because it improves the soil structure, it improves the nutrients in that soil, it helps retain moisture for whatever plants that you grow, and it's also really beneficial to native plants in the area, so your native Kentucky plants will really appreciate this compost soil. And it is just a great way to reduce your waste so that your trash is not sitting in a landfill where it can't fully break down, but it's going to be in your backyard breaking down naturally and turning into something beautiful and rich that you can use for your plants, maybe to grow your own vegetables and stuff like that. So this is a great thing to do all the way around for the earth, for you, for your plants, everyone involved. It's a really good thing. Alright, I hope this video has inspired you to be a better friend to the earth, to reduce your food waste, and maybe even start your own compost pile. We will see you next time. Thanks for joining.